video is going to talk about adding and subtracting decimals, and you're going to notice that adding and subtracting decimals really doesn't change all that much from adding and subtracting regular numbers. The main thing that you have to remember is to line up the decimal point. So let's take a look at what that looks like. We're going to start off with 114 and 9/10 plus 78 and 52 hundredths. So the very first thing I want to do when I'm setting this up is I want to make sure the decimal points are lined up. So I'm going to do it by putting the decimal points there first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the numbers. So let's take 114 and 9/10. The numbers before the decimal are 114. The numbers after the decimal is 9. So there we go, I've got the exact same number. I made sure it's set up the same way. Let's do the same thing with 78 and 52 hundredths. The numbers before are 7 and 8. Making sure that I'm lining them up so the place value is the same. The numbers after are 5 and 2. So I've just set up these numbers. Now all I have to do is add. Except right now I'm adding 2 plus nothing. Since nothing is there, I'm going to put a 0 here. There's always a 0 there. Most of the time we don't write it because, as we know, those zeros keep going and going and going and going. But we only need 1 here, so I'm going to put an invisible 0. You'll see me use dots or dashes just to show that it doesn't technically have to be there, but it's really useful in solving a problem like this. You can also put a 0 down here. So let's go ahead and let's do some addition. 2 plus 0 is 2. 9 plus 5 is 14. Put down the 4, carry the 1. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus that 1 is 13. 7 plus 1 is 9. 1 plus 0 is 1. Probably helps if I put the plus sign over there, huh? Now, I have done all my addition, and there's one more step that I have to do. I have to put the decimal point into my answer. Super simple how to do this because I've already lined up the decimal point. All I have to do is drop the decimal point straight down. And what you'll notice is that decimal, those decimals are right in a line right there. So we have all the ones lined up. We have all the tens places lined up. We have all the tenths places lined up. We have all the hundredths, and so on and so forth. Let's take a look at a subtraction problem, because it's the same exact theory. We have to line up the decimal point. So let's go ahead and let's subtract 5 and 2/10 minus 61 hundredths. I'm looking at this backwards. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing. So, first thing, I'm going to put in the decimal points. First number before the decimal is a 5, so I'm going to put a 5. After is a 2. 5 and 2/10, 5 and 2/10. Second number, I have 0.61. Nothing goes here. 6 goes here. 1 goes here. Now, I need to add some things in because I can't do blank minus 1. It doesn't work. If you start off with nothing, I can't take anything away, which in some cases might be a good thing, but that's not the point. So we need to put a 0 here. We could also put one down here, but I don't really think that we need it, so I'm going to skip it. So now we have 0 minus 1. And if I come to you and I say, hey, do you have $1? And you're like, sure. No, I don't. So you're going to go over to your neighbor and you're going to borrow. The 2 becomes a 1. And this 0 is going to become a 10. Now I have 10 minus 1 equals 9. I have 1 minus 6. Well, I can't do 1 minus 6. So we have to go borrow again. So this time the 1's going to borrow from the 5. 5 becomes a 4 because we take 1 away and we add that 1. It becomes 10 times more. Now it's 11 minus 6, and 11 minus 6 is 5. 4 minus nothing, or if you need to think about 4 minus 0, is going to be 4. This is not my final answer. The only thing I have to do is to put in that decimal point, and then I'm set. And how do I know where to put in the decimal point? Really simple. All I do is I drop it down because all the decimal points are lined up. Decimal, decimal, decimal. Let's look at our last example. And our last example is 26 minus 22 and 45 hundredths. Well, I'm supposed to line up the decimal, right? I don't see a decimal up there. So what am I supposed to do if I don't see a decimal up there? And hopefully everybody watching the video right now is saying that you put the decimal at the end of a number like a period in a sentence. So for 26, my decimal is going to be right there. Makes it really easy to line up the decimal point. So for 26, I'm going to put the 2 and the 6 right before the decimal. For 22.45, I'm going to put 22 before and 45 after. Now, this is a subtraction problem, except there's nothing up here to subtract with. Really simple problem to solve. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in those invisible zeros. Great. Now I can subtract. I want to do 0 minus 5. Well, if you have nothing, you can't take 5 away from nothing. That doesn't work. So we're going to borrow from the next number. Except we can't borrow from that 0. So we have to borrow from the next number. We're going to borrow from the 6, which means the 6 becomes a 5. And this 0 becomes a 10. But I didn't care about this 0 yet. I need to get something all the way over here, which means I need to cross off the 10 and make it a 9. Now this 0 becomes a 10. So now I have 10 minus 5 equals 5. 9 minus 4 equals 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. And the only thing, 2 minus 2 is 0, so we don't have to put that. And the only other thing I have to do is to put that decimal down. Decimal, decimal, decimal. And they're all lined up nice and pretty. So, you have 2 questions for your homework tonight. And those questions are 8 6/10 plus 4 and 9 minus 3/10.